What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly Sports History for December 30th, 2023. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. We are slowly closing out 2023, looking forward to what 2024 has in store for us. Let's start with our question of the day recap, as always. And very close, believe it or not. I thought this was going to go a lot differently than it did. But I asked, would the Eagles have won Super Bowl 52 if it wasn't for having to clean up Chip Kelly's mess? And very, very slightly, you said no, they would not have. I think a lot of the folks that said yes, they would have, I got the sense that there was a little bit of underlying Chip Kelly animosity slash hate slash bitterness still for getting rid of guys like LaShawn and Deshaun Jackson. So I wonder if that swayed their vote somewhat. But again, I mean, I don't know. It's one of those fun things to discuss. So thanks, as always, for getting your thoughts in on that. If you want, be sure to come on out and still give your voice on that. 267-495-8531. That's the voice and text line. Send a text message. Leave a voicemail. Just get your voice heard. Let me know what you're thinking about the whole question of the day from yesterday. Would the Eagles have won the Super Bowl without having to clean up, if they didn't have to clean up Chip Kelly's mess? All right. I did mention that no new Back to the Future this week. Still trying to figure out the new year for that. But we're doing the best of this week and going back through the archives. And one of my favorite moments from last year was when I interviewed my friend Mary Beth Freeman back on March 29th for Women's History Month. Kind of closed out Women's History Month with a great interview there. So go check out that archive if you haven't done so. Mary Beth Freeman, a local big-time star, head coach at a couple big D1 programs for field hockey. So be sure to check that out. March 29th, Back to the Future with a PH, wherever you get your podcast, as well as on YouTube. Also, be sure to like and subscribe as we try to grow this thing into 2024. All right, Sixers news. Good win last night, 131-127. Tyrese played well from the start, had 42. And Tobias has been playing well as also with 22 points. Shot well, played good defense. And it just goes to show how much the depth of this team is. And it's starting to, the fact that these guys are getting the run without Joe, it's starting to make me think maybe they should stand pat as they go into the trade deadline season, because they're playing well right now. They're one of the top teams in the league with Joe, but they're playing well. And again, I mean, Houston is not a great team by any stretch of the imagination, but they're an up-and-coming young team that have been playing well. So this is a good win for the Sixers without Joel Embiid, and I like the depth. And I don't know from a coaching standpoint what Nick Nurse wants, but I don't know. It just seems to me that it's a fine line. So I want to see what Daryl Morey and Elton Brand do and who they're actually looking for. I think that's the key too. It seems as though now that Harden's out of there, now that Doc's out of there, there's a different vibe on this team too. And I don't know if that's from Nick Nurse, if it's Doc and James, if it was a combination of the two, but there is something different about the way this team is vibing and the way they're playing well together. So you have to be very careful with who you're bringing in, and that is going to be key because the depth is great. I mean, they're playing 9-10 guys consistently, and the rotations are different, and he's making the rotations based on who's available and what things are doing. So it depends on what I'd be hesitant to get rid of a ton of players from this team, but Daryl Morey and Elton Brand make the big bucks, and I don't. So we'll see what they do. They're in action tonight in Chicago. No Joe again. He is still in Philly receiving treatment. Still a little sore. We'll see. He might be available next week when they take on, I think it's Tuesday, they take on the Bulls in Philly. Good win for the Sixers, though, 131-127. I want to see, it's going to be tough back-to-back, but I want to see the same thing out of Tyrese and Tobias again. Get it going early and often and just move on. We'll start the new year with hopefully a healthy Joe, and go on from there. Flyers were out in Seattle. They lost in overtime 2-1. They got the point. But again, that's a tough stretch back-to-back on the far West Coast. So I'm not that disappointed they were able to get the point. They are in action tomorrow against Calgary. Again, Seattle's a tough team. I mean, then the way the NHL does it, you always do the Vancouver, Seattle sort of rotation. So, I mean, that's tough. But they got 4 points total out of it, so they can't be mad at that. Also, can't be mad at Philly Goat. Go to phillygoat.com. Check out their wide selection. It's a new year, new you. Go restock, get ready for the Eagles playoff run. Phillies season kicking off. Believe it or not, the Phillies are not that far away from spring training. Be sure to get your Flyer stuff. Union will be starting back again soon. All your Philly-centric needs. Start getting your spring wardrobe ready, but use that promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off your order. Go to phillygoat.com, promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off of your order. Thank you so much for all your support with them this year. As I say, help yourself out, help them out, help me out. You won't be disappointed. Okay, good positive Eagles news for once. Looks like Avonte Maddox will be playing. How much is still to be determined, and I guess a lot's going to game flow and how good of shape he's in. But that's good news for a secondary that has been struggling for the most part. Hopefully that also means that Darius Slay will come back next week. Cautiously optimistic. Landon Dickerson and Nicholas Morrow are playing. Looks like Zach Cunningham's going to be a game-time decision. Obviously Slay is still out. But very good news on the injury front. Now if they can just be a little more crisp on offense. And I almost look at, and I hate to say this because they are NFL teams and this could come back to bite us in the ass, but it's almost like you have these two games. All you need to do is win them. Get it right these next two games. Win the division. Treat them like preseason games almost. Have your guys sort of work through in real time. And again, this is an NFL team, so you got to somewhat be careful with that. But they can, I don't know. I'm not ready to give up on this team yet. Maybe it's just the Kool-Aid. Maybe I'm wearing my Kelly Green glasses. I don't know, but I'm not ready to give up on them yet. I want to see crispness out of the offense tomorrow, but we'll do more on that as we go. The other big news story yesterday, which I don't know, it was from Marcus Hayes, and I've said it a couple times. I'm not a huge Marcus Hayes fan. I don't know. I mean, there were guys that were quoted, but I don't know if the quotes were taken out of context. But saying that they felt the crowd was too loud on offense, and that's leading to part of the problem. Now, I've been to, how many? 5 home games this year, I think. 4 home games. And I don't think the crowd has been any louder than what it has been in the past or any quieter. So I don't know if that's a reach or a grasp, but to blame the offensive struggles on not being able to hear the cadence, I'm not sure how I feel about that, like I said, because yes, it can get loud, they get excited, but I don't think it's been any louder than what it has been normally. But let me know your thoughts on that. Is that a stretch? Is that Marcus Hayes making stuff up? I don't know. There's just something just doesn't seem right about that, and if it is true, and the Eagles are saying that, I mean that's weak. To blame the crowd for your off, like stop it, just stop. All right, big game tonight, Cowboys versus Lions for the Eagles when they have their playoff seeding, and Eagles fans, now hear me out. I know some of you this is sacrilegious to even ask or even bring up. However, it is in the best interest of the Eagles if we root for the Cowboys tonight because of the way the tiebreakers fall. And let's just assume that the Niners are going to win out and get the 1 seed. In order for us to get that 2 seed, right now Detroit has a slight tiebreaker edge over us. So we got to be rooting for the Cowboys tonight. As much as it pains me to say that, we need to root for them. Now, all of this is dependent upon us winning out. If we don't win out, It doesn't matter. But I know it'd be nice for us to win the division tomorrow. But let's relax. We need to look at the bigger picture here. We got to root for the Cowboys. Which brings me to our question of the day. Can you root for the Cowboys if it means helping out the Eagles? Not can you, like legally can you, but can you personally, can you root for the Cowboys if it's going to benefit the Eagles? Let me know what you think. 267-495-8531. Send your voicemail, send your text message, and let me know. 267-495-8531. Can you root for the Cowboys if in the big picture it means it's going to benefit the Eagles? Let me know what you're thinking. 267-495-8531. Get you in. Let me know. I know it's one of those crazy things to think about. However, rooting for the Cowboys tonight is in the Eagles' best interest in the big grand scheme of things. All dependent upon them winning out. I mean, of course, that's what you want. If you don't think they're going to win out, then obviously you're rooting for the Lions. However, I got my eyes on the bigger prize. I think they're going to win out. And I want that number 1 seed. But to get that 2 seed, the Lions have to drop a game. And it has to be an in-conference game. And I don't know. The next game I think they play is Minnesota. So not sure they're going to lose to Minnesota. So let's just get it knocked out of the way and let's root for the Cowboys tonight. But let me know what you think. 267-495-8531. Should I be losing my Eagles fandom card for even mentioning the fact that they should be rooting for the Cowboys tonight? Let me know. While you're at it, be sure to check out the Clashing Conferences podcast. My boys over there did a good job once again this week. That is available wherever you get your podcast as well as on YouTube. The Clashing Conferences podcast. All right, shifting gears a little bit. Today we're going to go back to 2006 and go to a little college basketball. And on November, on December 30th, 2006, Villanova beat Temple 83-65 for their 10th straight Big Five win. Curtis Sumter had 22. Mike Nardi had 17. For the Wildcats, Scotty Reynolds and Dante Cunningham were youngsters on this team. They did contribute. They were big in the 09 Final Four team for the Villanova Wildcats. For Temple, Deontay Christmas had 22. Mark Tyndale had 16 in the 83-65 loss to the Villanova Wildcats. If you're wondering, the all-time Big Five record for consecutive wins is by Villanova, but that's at 25, and that ran from 2012 to 2018. Big Five is slightly different today with the whole addition of Drexel and the City Six now. But that 06-07, Temple went 12-18, but that was Fran Dunphy's first year. They would go on to win 3 straight A-10 tournament titles after that. Villanova finished that season 22-11, lost in the first round as a 9 seed. But we know they would go to the Final Four just a few years later in 2009. But on this day in 2006, it was Villanova beating Temple 83-65 to extend their Big Five winning streak to 10 games. Both teams kind of just floundered that year. That was right after Chaney. Dunphy was just trying to figure it out, and Jay Wright was just about to put it together for the Wildcats. So that happened on this day back in 2006. And finally, continuing with our Philadelphia sports top moments of 2023. Today, it's Super Bowl 57. Still frustrating to this day. They had a 10-point halftime lead. Quez Watkins dropped the pass that would put them up. It just was bad. They did tie it late in the fourth, and then the defense couldn't hold. It was just overall frustrating game. And I think that to me, the most frustrating, it was one of the top moments, don't get me wrong, but one of the most frustrating things to me about that game is I truly thought that they were going to win that game. And it just kind of goes to show and is a lesson to be learned as a Philly fan that just when you think things are going well, Lucy taking the football away from Charlie Brown, they get you every time. But today's Philly sports top moment of 2023 was Super Bowl 57. Eagles lost 38-35 to the Chiefs, and both teams have been reeling ever since. So hopefully the Eagles can put it together moving forward and get back there this year. I'm not ruling it out. I'm holding out hope. But it's a game they should have won. Should not have lost that game. Still frustrating to this day. And bonus question of the day. So we'll have two today because this one will be one of the ones for tomorrow too. But since tomorrow is the Eagles pick, I wanted to get it started getting out today. Send me your text message or voicemail. What is your Philly sports top moment? We've gone through 6 of them so far, or 5 of them, I guess. So we got to figure out there's one more I have picked out, but what is your Philadelphia sports top moment of 2023? Let me know on the voice and text line, 267-495-8531, your top Philly sports moment, as well as is it okay or can you root for the Cowboys if it means it's going to help the Eagles out? Let me know your thoughts, 267-495-8531. Simple as sending a text message, put in your contacts, and just send texts all day if you want. As the thought moves you, send me a text message. I have one person that sends me, literally the same person, they're anonymous, but they send a text message every day around the same time, and it's always something different. So get your voice heard, get your text heard, 267-495-8531. On this day in 2006, Villanova beat Temple 83-65 to win their 10th straight Big 5 title, or 10th straight Big 5 game. We'll get there. Good news on the Eagles injury front. Sixers back in action tonight. Flyers are off. Go have a Saturday. Squeeze the last little bit of fun out of 2023. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History. I'm Jim Montgomery. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.